Hello Megalithomaniacs. Today we're going to be looking at the new discoveries that have been found at the remarkable site of Karahan Tepe in southeast Anatolia. Karahan Tepe is the sister site to Göbekli Tepe, both based in the vicinity of Sanliurfa. It is one of the most impressive sites I've visited. It's on par with Göbekli Tepe in many ways, and only recently has it been properly uncovered, or at least some of it. I've been visiting Karahan Tepe since 2014, where I visited there twice with Andrew Collins. We also visited it in 2015 and more recently in 2018. Now, the reason we wanted to share this video with you is because brand new discoveries are being unearthed at this present moment, and these include a remarkable enclosure, much like Enclosure D, but actually larger. It's 75 feet wide, and this is larger than anything we found at Göbekli Tepe. Now, overall, Göbekli Tepe is a much larger site, and it appears to have been in use for a longer period because there's multiple enclosures that have been built over one another. But what we're generally looking at when we look at these sites in this part of southeast Anatolia is T-shaped pillars which have a kind of abstract humanoid form with hands almost touching the navel along the kind of edges of the pillars. The T part on the head appears to be a human anthropomorphic head, although this is still debated. And many of these pillars have been found at Karahan Tepe. In fact, 250 have been recorded there. And this has been known about for some years, because when we were visiting there over the last few years, these T-shaped pillar heads appear to be sticking out of the ground. We can actually see many of them form these circles and parallel avenues going up to the top. Now, it must be noted that when we visited more recently in 2018 and the previous visits, you can only see a certain amount of the site because it's clearly covered up. Whether it's naturally covered up or deliberately done like Göbekli Tepe is unclear at this moment, but it looks like much of the site is slightly more damaged than Göbekli Tepe, so it may have not had the repair job done in it in prehistory before it was deliberately covered over and decommissioned. However, we're going to find out when we go there in the next few months. But to start the video, before we look into all the discoveries that have been made and even ones that are now on display in Sanliurfa Museum, let's take a look at a short look at what was there before it was excavated back when we were there in 2018.
Essentially, there are a series of pairs of standing stones that most of them are unexplored, like this one. Some of them have got test pits around them. Or you won't really see any carvings, you might see a little bit. And these are the same type of stones at Göbekli Tepe, but they're completely unexcavated at this time. The big difference between Göbekli Tepe and here is that this is not a hill that's been created as an occupational mound. This is a natural hill. And all they've done is to cover the top and the sides with a stone, rubble, and also earth, and they buried the stones within them. And if you ask actually what's going on, we've tried to plot as many of the stones as we could, and it does seem as if they all seem to be focusing on the top of the hill on the northern side. Not here, but that place a little bit farther up there. And they're all come together. You'll see them. All of them seem to be coming up in lines towards this spot. Now, whether that's avenues, whether that's a series of enclosures, but if you go to the south, there's nothing at all. All of the flints and flakes and the rest of it are on the north side, on the east side, some on the west side, nothing on the south side. That tends to suggest to me that this area was the main area of activity. Why? Because I think that they were interested in that hill there. That hill basically is full of caves, and they are the only caves in the area. And myself and Hugh and one of our team members in the past have investigated them as much as we can. And there is prehistoric activity on the top there. I've got an article ready to go essentially on it, but there is absolute evidence of activity going back at least to 8000 BC.
So one of the things that still fascinates me is this giant T-shaped pillar, which is on the western side. It's unfinished. It's like the sacred kind of quarry spot where the stones of Karahan Tepe came from. We have a similar principle actually at Göbekli Tepe. We have a 24-foot pillar still in the quarry, whereas this one at Karahan is 18 feet tall. And other things you'll notice in the video that we just looked at, you can see the tops of the pillars sticking out the ground. You can see some of the cut marks in the bedrock. We find again that at Göbekli Tepe. We also saw some small T-shaped pillars, or the tops of them. We saw kind of portal stones and other aspects that have been covered up for possibly 11,000 years. And so when we're looking at the new discoveries, it is really quite stunning. I mean, we're looking at a 75 feet wide megalithic enclosure, but the thing is, they're not just freestanding T-pillars. These are actually what appear to be kind of carved into the bedrock, some of the site, some of the actual enclosure, and whereas the rest of it is freestanding. So they were digging 18 feet into solid bedrock at Karahan Tepe. It's been discovered, and you can actually see that in the small enclosure with all them kind of monoliths that are actually still a part of the bedrock, which some appear to be anthropomorphic, some look like mushrooms, and some look like they're kind of creatures carrying other creatures or humans on their back. And so there's quite a lot going on here, and even you can see this protruding head coming out, which looks like something from Tiwanaku, the subterranean temple there. So whether this is actually connected with Tiwanaku in Bolivia is unclear, because the speculation is that the dating matches, even though that's not been proven yet in Bolivia. And there's other similarities as well, which we always find connecting Göbekli Tepe with places like Easter Island, South America, Central America, even Indonesia. And this has been covered by many different authors, including myself and Andrew Collins, who I've been visiting the site with since 2014. Must be noted here that Andrew has actually been going to Karahan Tepe since 2004, and so that's when it was first kind of known about, although it was officially discovered in around 1997. It's currently owned by a beautiful farm family. We often go there for tea, and we have a lunch there when we make our visits. And it's not open yet. You can't officially visit it. It's not going to be open till officially in May 2022, but it could be open earlier, it could be open later. There was a huge kind of public and governmental opening in late September 2021, just a week or so ago, where they revealed all these photos and discoveries to the world. And it's part of like a larger project they're calling Taz Tepala, which means stone hills. And these are numerous sites, up to 12 sites, that cover an area 124 miles wide, centered around Göbekli Tepe. And 7 of these are just started being excavated, including Karahan Tepe, which is about a year into its excavations. So take a look at these images, take a look at these aerial photos and footage, and tell me what you think in the comments, because to me this is really, really interesting. I'm going to be talking to Andrew Collins next week. We're going to be doing a special interview analysing the site. He's managed to unlock some of the astronomical alignments which appear to be at the site from the aerial videos, and we're going to see if that connects with Göbekli Tepe and the predictions Andrew made about the archaeoastronomy several years ago. And we're going to look out for that on the Megalithomania YouTube channel, and also look out for a tour we're going to be running in 2022, because we've been waiting, because of COVID, for a very long time to get back there, and now things are starting to open up. We're certainly going to be visiting Karahan Tepe, Göbekli Tepe, Mount Nemrut, We're going to be looking at some of the polygonal wall sites along the south coast, Hattusa, Cappadocia, Derinkuyu, and all these remarkable, very ancient sites that Turkey has to offer. And hopefully we're going to be looking at some of the 7 sites that are currently under excavation. Now these could be revelatory. Many of the artifacts that have been found at Karahan Tepe are also now in the museum in Sanliurfa. Now this museum is remarkable regardless of Karahan Tepe. It has a complete reconstruction of one of the most important sites, Navali Churi, which dates back to a similar era, with similar iconography, stonework, T-shaped pillars and other such things. It also has a complete reconstruction of Enclosure D from Göbekli Tepe and many artifacts from many of the sites in the area. But now there's some new ones on display from Karahan Tepe, and no doubt this will increase. So when we go there in a couple of months, we're actually going to have a look at these and we'll report back, we'll analyze them. But what I've seen so far does suggest that there's a certain uniqueness to Karahan Tepe that has now been revealed. It's quite a different style, it's quite a different cultural kind of element here that we find at Göbekli Tepe, and it's really going to become, I believe, possibly the most important site in this area. And the dating, I mean, some speculation was put out last year that Karahan Tepe is actually older than Göbekli Tepe, so that in itself is very, very interesting. So we hope you enjoyed this brief video just outlining what's been taking place at Karahan Tepe and the other sites that are going to be excavated there. We're going to report back next week with a special interview podcast with Andrew Collins, and look out for information about the tour we're going to be certainly running next year, because this is a revelation, this site, and I think it's really important that we go and take a look and look back the true origins of humanity and where we really came from. And this part of the world really has it all. So thanks for watching again. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate your support, and we'll keep you updated as things progress with this story. And please subscribe if you can. If not, please become a patron. Grab one of our amazing t-shirts designed by some wonderful graphic designers and artists, and join us next year when we go and explore these sites, because we've been going there since 2013, and we can tell you now that this is an absolutely gripping story that's going to get much more interesting as the months go by. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.